Hey guys, how you doing? So today I just want to do a real quick project for the shop, and that is to add a switch to this Portaband here. So the Portaband itself has a trigger. It's a portable tool, but then I got a table for it, this handy table from Swag Offroad. And it's really cool because it turns it into a stationary tool for cutting metal, which is when I use it the most. I have taken it on location sometimes, but mostly I use it in the stand, and so I want to have a better switch instead of having to put a clamp on the trigger. So today I'm going to wire up a quick switch, and this is cool because you can use the same concept for router tables, stationary tools that need new switches, pretty much anything. Sometimes you just want an extension cord with a switch in it and you don't want to have to use a power strip. So here's one way we're going to do it. All right, so basic supplies we're going to need for this project are a switch, a box to put the switch in, and some wiring. There's some various supplies we're also going to use, but those are the main components. So for boxes, there's a variety, well, for really all of this stuff, there's quite a variety. So you want to go to your local home center or electrical supplier and poke around and see what might work for you. I'll show a couple of different options between plastic and metal boxes here. There's a variety of different mounting brackets available and stuff like that. So go and, like I said, have an idea of what you want to do and check out what they have. Okay, so first stop are the switches. So at Home Depot, you're probably only going to find something more like your standard light switch, different dimmers and stuff like that, which you don't want for this, but you could use a standard light switch as long as it was rated for a high enough amperage, but I don't want to do that. Oh, I missed. So that leaves us with tool-specific switches that are like safety switches that you would use on a stationary power tool. So here's one I got off of Amazon. This one's made by Woodstock, I think. And this is a big emergency stop switch like what you'd see on a table saw. This one I'm actually planning on using on a router table because it's pretty large. And then I have the smaller one by PowerTech, which still has a removable lock if I want. And it's a little bit smaller and it uses spade connections. So this is what we're going to use today. As for the boxes, like I said, there's a variety of boxes you can choose from. Plastic, metal, some with flanges to mount against studs, some that are just plain that you're going to mount to conduit. Again, plastic, same thing, different flanges, you can cut stuff off. This one's also made to mount to plastic conduit. There's a variety of plugs and things. And then for the cable we're going to actually chop up this extension cord, because for the money, it's actually not a bad choice. All right, so because of where this is mounting, I should be able to use this top knockout and this top knockout, and then that way I can have a cable coming up and through under the table and then one coming out the back, and that way still keep the clean look that I'd wanted. So now, for the knockouts, we have some special little, I guess you could call them grommets or clips. Let's see what they say on the package here. We call them clamp connectors. There are also some plastic ones that I got just in case I didn't know what I wanted to do. I think I'm going to go with the clamp connectors on this one. All right, so essentially what happens here, this little nut screws off and this goes in here. Once this is in here, you can screw the nut back on. And then this guy right here, this little bar, clamps down on the cable that goes into there. Okay, so now I do want to reuse some of these factory ends. I have other ends here, but I'd like to reuse these because they're pretty nice. So we're going to go ahead and cut the end off of this guy, I think. We want to leave ourselves enough room, so I'm going to cut it about here. Okay, so some switches have screw terminals. A lot of common light switches do, and also that larger emergency on-off switch that I showed from Woodstock also has screw terminals. But this switch, since it's more similar to what you'd find like in a sander or like an electronic kind of device, has terminals. So for terminals, we need to have some connectors. So here's a little kit I have purchased, I think on Amazon. And it comes with kind of a rudimentary crimper and a whole assortment of different crimp-on terminals or crimp-on connectors. You have eyelets and little spades or whatever you call that. And then you have these guys, which slide over the terminals. I'll pull those out because we're going to need them here. So essentially what you do is you strip the wire, you strip the end of the wire, you crimp this on the wire, and then that allows you to slide it over the terminal here. Now these are a little snug, but that's okay. So that's how that works. These aren't particularly awesome ones, but they are functional. All right, so now on the switch, some switches like this one only have one connection, and that allows you to, you typically would use that to switch the hot. So you'd put the black from the in and the black from the out on these gold screws here. The gold or brass colored screws signify hot, and that's what that is for. This one also has a green screw for ground, so that you can ground the two ground cables to the switch itself. But in the case of this switch, we actually have contacts for both the hot and the neutral, and then the ground you'll just will just connect together with a wire nut. Now there was no documentation with this switch, so I don't know which is which here. So here could be that this is all one side and this is all one side, or it could be that this is one and this is one, and I don't know, and so I'm going to go ahead and check. And the easiest way to do that is with a continuity checker on a multimeter. This is a clamp-on multimeter, but not all of them have the weird little clamp thing. That's for measuring amperage, but we're not going to be using that feature right now. Okay, so when you make contact, it beeps, and it also shows you on the screen. So here, we're going to take off these contacts, make it a little easier. And I'm going to activate the switch. And once I activate the switch, it'll be really easy because the switch is basically just connecting the two terminals. So my hunch is that it is 1 and 1 and then 1 and 1, but I don't know, so we're going to double check. Okay. Now just to be sure, we're going to check it against all the other contacts. And I was right. So this is one side, and this is one side. So again, just to double check. So this was one, and this is one. Okay. So I cut the screws short because they were hitting the switch a little bit. Now we're going to go ahead and mount this bad boy onto the bandsaw. Now this is probably overkill, but I just want to help reduce any risk of the positive and negative shorting together. So I'm putting heat shrink on here so that can help insulate it, that is. Okay, so we have our switch mounted. We have the bandsaw plugged into the cord the outlet that we put coming out of the switch. We have this cord plugged into wall power. And now let's give it a shot. I also have the trigger on the bandsaw depressed now. So if all goes according to plan, this should function like a normal bandsaw. All right, so a really simple project here, but it's going to get a lot of use for me, I'll tell you that. Because mostly I use this thing in a stationary mode like this, and reaching around to grab the clamp while the bandsaw's running, not really the safest, plus it's just not super convenient when you need to just make a little cut here or there. So this is going to be super great. I'm going to make a similar switch for a router table whenever I get around to building it. And then other than that, I just need to do a little bit of cable management to tuck these up and kind of strap them down underneath. Other than that, I'm super stoked with this thing and looking forward to using it. Don't forget to look me up on Instagram and Facebook. Please like this video and share it if you liked it. And that would be so helpful to get it out to others. And if you have any questions, leave them in the comments below and I'll make sure to get back to you. Have a good one. Thanks again for watching.